Good morning, hello, good morning, and good evening as well for some of our friends who are joining from Middle East, India, and Pakistan. My name is Dr. Sayyed Uzair. I'm a PGY2 internal medicine at Hackensack University Medical Center, Mountainside program. I have my panelists here, Dr. Mohapatra and Dr. Mikilenini. I will request them as well so they can introduce themselves and give us a little bit of their background. And then we will continue our webinar on summer preparation for ERAS in the fall. So go ahead, please, Dr. Mohapatra, give us like a little bit of your background.
Hi, everyone. Good morning and good evening, as Dr. Uzair already mentioned. I'm a PGO1 in emergency medicine resident currently in upstate New York. I have started just a couple of months ago, and in it, my background is that I graduated from India, from medical school in India in 2018. After that, I applied for the match in internal medicine and family medicine without success, and then subsequently again with the help of resident medical, and changing my application up a little bit, using their ideas, incorporating them in my attempt. I was successfully able to actually reach out and match into one of the more reach programs I would assume for an international medical graduate in emergency medicine. So that's a little bit briefly about me.
I would just go ahead and start the discussion. So myself as well, like an IMG, as all of IMGs, struggle through the pathway for the residency. So that's why we are here to guide all of our other friends who are going through this residency pathway and the application process. So we would like and to make them this path process is like as easy as possible. So around this time, like the summer, as you know, like the ERAS opens for the application, and this year September 7th is the date that the applicants may submit their ERAS application, and September 28th would be the date when the programs would will be able to download the applications and view them. So last year as well, so I had like so many discussion with the people who were in the residency program committee, like what they're looking for and what are the drawbacks, like those in the applications which can put a candidates down the line. So around this time, so I will start with Dr. Mohapatra. So Dr. Mohapatra, what do you suggest like around this time, how and can like work on the research or clinical experience so they can add up in their ERAS application around like this summertime?
So still have a month left for applications to start. So this month can be super important in terms of your application. You can try and get some research or clinical experience, a clinical experience or research experience that can, ultimately lead to an LOR. Will have a lot of value because it's not only going to be like a US based LOR, but it's going to be a fresh LOR. One of the problems that I faced was that my LORs were from before the pandemic in 2019. 20 I rotated in the US. So when I applied this time around, it was considered to be 6 months old, 1 year old. So it probably won't have the same effect on program directors as you probably will have with the fresh LOR. Probably in the past 6 months, 1 year preferably, absolutely will be more helpful for you. On the other hand, getting to know people is always helpful if you applying for the math cycle. In my personal experience, I felt like more than LORs, personal experiences, networking with people, and showing them how good you can actually be is probably more valuable than anything. So if you can actually come to the US, be here, meet people, network with them, show them that you're a good candidate and you can work in these circumstances, work with the EMR system, work with the patients here, work with the staff here. I think it's going to go a long way into getting absorbed into the system.
Yes, thank you, Doma Patra. Yeah, that's absolutely like accurate. Like around this time, getting like hands-on clinical experience, especially in a hospital setting where you can work with the residents, with the medical students, get hands-on experience, learn the EMR, and also get like a hospital-based letter of recommendation, which will boost the application and increases the chances for the interviews. I would request Dr. Jonathan as well. So he can introduce himself and give us a little bit background as well.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dr. Jonathan Dang. I am a senior residency specialist and a global director. I'm also a graduate of St. George's School of Medicine, which we graduate 1,000 student each year. It is a pleasure and an honor to be here, and thank you, everyone, for hosting this.
So, Dr. Jonathan, what is your advice to like the students who are applying for this year's match about their ERAS application and personal statement? So that should be ready by September 7th, because this is the time, like almost like less than a month left.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you, Dr. Syed. That's a very, very important question. So my biggest advice to everyone is start as soon as possible and make sure you go over and over your application. The personal statement is very important. So make sure you contact resident medical to get them to help you with your personal statement. This is extremely important. Your ERAS application has to fill out properly. Don't leave any spaces blank. It's as soon as possible. Get to work on it, guys. It's here.
If you have any like questions regarding ERAS applications, filling up in the personal statement, you can contact our office as well, residentsmedical.com. You can give us a call at 310-444-9700. We are here to help you as well. I will go back to Dr. Mohapatra with the next round this time. So like when we submit the application like by September 28th, and we are waiting.
Hmm.
So if someone did not like take step three, how would you advise that? How should be they preparing for that one? And should they rush for the exam or just like wait for the match and then go for the exam?
So I think the general consensus will always be that you should write your step three as soon as possible. I did not write step three before my match, before my attempt. So I mean, I probably missed out on a lot of interviews because of it. Step three is not a necessity. We all know that for the match. But then, if you have step three on the application, the program director or the application reviewing committee will always have more faith when they send the interview out, knowing that you have 2 years in which you do not have to study for an exam, and you can use that time to adjust the system over here. So step three is a huge plus. Even right now, personally, I always felt that I had problems. Even though I prepared for step three, I couldn't really write step three. So I do regret that decision that I really wasn't able to write step three, because now that I have started my first year and I am working, probably 60, 70 hours a week, and coming back a little more tired than I was earlier. I should have written step three if when I had the time. But if you have the opportunity to write step three, it's not only helpful for your application, but when you're starting intern year, it's going to be super helpful because you do not have the stress that you have to write another exam while you're adjusting to a new healthcare system.
So amazing, like thank you. And I will also like wanted to add here as well. uh, we can use this time for the step three preparation, do the questions, and if we have like interviews are like online, so we don't even have to travel, from one state to other state for the lodging for the interviews, so we can focus on the step three. And also another thing is like for someone who has attempts in like step one or CK, or maybe like if they took like a step CS like back then, and older graduates, by passing step three, they can show the programs like, they can pass the board exams. That is the main
Absolutely.
thing for a program to worry about. And also, like if someone has like a less number of interviews by like November and December, and by the time if they have passed step three, that is another opportunity for them to reach out to the programs, because like that way they can reach out, they can email the coordinators like, I have updated my application. So that is another way they can look on the
That is a trick.
application.
I absolutely agree with you. It is a very
Yeah.
good trick. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I have seen like
And
many
I've shared
candidates
with
like
you.
they have. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh no, sorry. I was just saying I've seen, like, because when the first wave of interviews have been sent out and the applications are lying in a pile probably, and you send them an update that's saying that, oh, I have passed step three. Your application is going to come to the forefront. At least it's going to be read again. It's going to be assessed again, and that's what you want. You want to stand out from the crowd. And I think this is one of the most effective tools that IMGs have. Writing step three, passing step three, and updating the program directors or the coordinators.
Yeah, so you can email the programs that now you have passed step three, and this is your like the score. So that way you have higher chances of getting some interviews in January and February before the rank order deadline. I will go to Dr. Gotami now and see. Hopefully, like we should not have any issue. Can you hear Dr. Gotami?
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, what do you think? Like, what sets an like an applicant's ERAS application like a stands out of the rest? Like, what should be the application which stands a person like out of like a program accepting like 6,000 applications and their interview only like 80 to 100 people?
Well, that's a lot of people, and you definitely have to make yourself unique. Uh, and having the same things that everyone else has on their CV, it's not going to help. I would put any foreign language skills that you have, unique experiences in your life. You have a unique hobby that even if you don't think that it's related to medicine, but it'll make them remember you. I think those things are helpful to put on your CV or to put into your personal statement. Obviously, if those things maybe also you can relate them to medicine in your personal statement, that would be helpful. And just see how you stand out from your other peers when you were doing your rotations and everything. How are you different?
Thank you. So I would ask another question to Dr. Jonathan. How at the residence medical we can help the students for the ERAS application, personal statement, and the interviews during this like summer and fall season?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. That's we're the expert in this. So during this time of the year, this filling out the application is very, very important. I mean, one of the most important thing with the application itself is also uploading the personal statement. Besides filling out the application, the ERAS application, every box has to be completed. Do not leave anything blank. If there's a blank and you do not fill the space, it doesn't look good. For example, you put a not applicable on there. Contact us. We have a program director that review personal statements on the daily basis. We'll help you out. We'll give you guidance. Just one quick one is any personal statement should be just one page, and we're the expert in doing this. And give us a call. We'll help you.
Now let me take some questions as well from the audience. A question for Dr. Mohapatra, I will ask him. If someone has three LORs, not instead of four, can they still apply for the residency? And is like four LORs should be like must?
I think most of the programs require three LORs. I think three LORs at the very least is required, is the minimum necessity for most programs. Four is nice. You can have a fourth LOR if you're mixing between like streams. If you're applying to family medicine, internal medicine, you can probably have that one LOR which is family medicine and put that in for a family medicine application. But from what I understand is that a lot of programs, if they have strict requirements of only three, they will not consider the fourth LOR. So it might as well just upload three LORs. So definitely go through the requirements of every program before you're applying to know whether the program requires three LORs or four LORs.
At residence medical, like if someone has three LORs and they need an additional LORs, we can arrange like a hospital-based hands-on clinical experience for them. So where they can work with the residents under the supervision of like the attending physicians, get hands-on experience as well as like hospital-based LORs for their application as well. There is another question as well. Dr. Jonathan, you wanted to comment if submitting the late application would have any impact on the getting interviews?
You want to submit it as soon as possible, right? Because the program is going to want to view it on September 28th. So as soon as possible, you want to submit it. But to answer your question, yes, you can, but we do not recommend it.
Yes, exactly. Because by the time like the programs have downloaded the applications they wanted to interview, so it's earlier the better. So your application should be there before September 28th. So the first day programs may access the applications. So what would be the top three pitfalls for an application are like an applicants which can be avoided, and how can residents mitigate to for that. The main things, the pitfalls are like if someone have attempts in the USMLE, that is the number one. Older year of graduation, which you cannot overcome as well, and if you don't have clinical and the research experience in United States. So these are the main things. But with the residence medical, like if someone has older year of graduation, you cannot overcome with that as well with your like low USMLE scores or the attempts. But what can you achieve is that by passing step 3, by gaining US hands-on clinical experience in the ACGME residency programs, and then also getting hospital-based LORs from those programs where you're working. That way, you can network in those programs. You're putting the foot in the door. You're networking with the residents, the attendings, and by submitting your application on time, so that way you have better chances of getting the interviews. Yeah, so there is a question about the mini CEX assessment exam, which is a part of the Pathway 6 for ECFMG certification. So someone questioned that if residents medical can help us about that, getting clinical experience as well.
This is Pathway 6, and if you're taking the OET, definitely give us a call. We'll be happy to arrange the doctors that can help you with the mini exams and get you ECFMG certified.
You can contact our office at residentsmedical.com. You can call the direct office number as well, 310-444-9700, where we have the team which will take you through the pathway and the process for the ACM certification, guidance about the exams and different pathways of the ACFMG certification, also helping for the ERAS application, interviews, preparation, which will lead toward a successful match. So I will continue the discussion with Dr. Mohapatra. Dr. Mohapatra, what was your experience like gaining the clinical experience before the ERAS application?
It was good. So I had the advantage of going for rotations pre-pandemic. So things were a little different, I guess, at that point of time. The hospitals were a lot more welcoming, I guess, when we were sending in applications too, because they didn't really have the strain and the stress of a pandemic at the back of their head. Things have changed ever since the pandemic. It's just been very impossible to get in touch with hospitals, and getting acceptances more than anything. Because even if you were to send applications, I think a lot of the applicants, and even I personally, when I was trying to get fresh experience, received replies which were like, because of the pandemic, we're not taking in additional students for rotation. Another problem is that a lot of their own medical students had a lot of delays, so they have done a lot of catch-up rotations. So they're trying to fill in a lot of slots, and possibly for us, it's going to be very difficult because these slots are being filled up by the VSAS, which is used over here, and a lot more programs and hospitals are shifting to the VSAS method of taking in students for their rotations. So yeah, that's becoming more difficult for IMGs to get good US clinical experience, because you can get a clinic-based clinical experience from a lot of different places, a lot of different hospitals, but they probably won't be having as much value if you want to get into like a hospital-based program or even a hospital-based specialty. Like internal medicine is a lot more hospital-based, so probably having an hospital-based LOR will be more helpful in this situation.
Wonderful. Yeah, exactly. And also for the tally rotations, like the tally rotations does not have that much value as well compared to be in person in the hospital getting hands-on clinical experience. Uh, During the pandemic, yes, that was an option, but since now the hospitals have start accepting like the candidates, so that is like also like an additional like help you can get from the residents medical, and we can also assist with the visa process as well, like H1 and J1, specifically for the hands-on clinical experience before you apply for the residency, and as well as for the research. There is another question. Someone is saying that they graduated in 2019, they took step 1 and waiting for step 2 results. So is there any way that the research application, that situation they can do during that time period? Yes, definitely. So they have passed like step 1 and they're waiting for step 2 result. This is the ideal time. So they should be like doing the research and then that way, like build up the application, pass the OET. If not, so by the time like the application deadline is September 28th, if they can be certified, ECMG certified, and eligible to apply for the match. And then from October, November, December, January, February, March, those 6 months are ideal to take step three, as well as doing the research. So by the time you match into the residency and like in March, so you will already have like research experience, and based off that, you can reach out to the programs as well that I'm doing this research, I have passed step three. So that is another way of communicating with the program as well. And with the residents medical, we can help arrange the research as well at the ACGME residency-based programs, where you can have like research working with the residents, getting the research you will be able to publish, and you can even continue those like the cases after even the match as well till you start your residency in July. And also another thing is that for the applicants applying for this year, new programs get accredited around like November and December as well. So just keep looking on the website of the AAMC to for the newly accredited program. So that way, if a program get accredited, so you can apply right away as well. So that is another chance of securing an interview. But like what specific do we have at Residence Medical through which we can provide them help and assistance for the ERAS application so they can submit the application on time, and also help them for the residency application match and post match.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one of the first thing we do is we once you start your application for ERAS, we're gonna review the ERAS application. We're gonna help you fill out it properly. We're gonna help you with the personal statement to make sure that your application ERAS is flawless and your personal statement is the best. It's the best. And doing so, you'll get an increased chance of applying, increased visibility for your applications. In terms of matched, that it's like once you submit it, you're in the system. Just in case, and if you don't get an interview and unsuccessfully going through the match, we also have post-match opportunity that we can help you with, as well as the off-track positions that we offer year-round. Mind you, just this year, going forward for the 2023-2024 match, there'll be a double match instead of a single match. So essentially, the SOAP is going to be converted into a second match. So that's exciting. So a lot of us are scrambling through the SOAP, and it can be very frustrating. So hopefully, the double match will be very helpful for all of us. Thank you, Dr. Sayed.
Thank you, Jonathan. I would like to thank our panelists, Dr. Mohapatra, Dr. Gatimi, Dr. Jonathan, for helping and answering the questions. All right, I would say thank you to all of our panelists once again for your time, and then we will just like sign off now. Thank you.